Right, all you music makers, video game players, and entertainers from all around the world, welcome to the 556th edition of Music Village. I am your host from the East Coast, DJ Smokey, bringing you the best from the North, Southeast, and West that the world of music, games, and wrestling has to offer, and seeing the fact that we are here on the final day of these 28 days of greatness, here to bring you one last great show for this great month. We might as well waste no time and explain to you guys what's gonna happen on this final day of greatness edition of Music Village. Because we kick things off by finding out what we think is gonna happen during this weekend's pay-per-view of the Elimination Chamber from Canada. And I was gonna say Ontario or Toronto, and I would be wrong on both cases according to Carl and the Maestro. Also, besides that, we go ahead and check out some games from a planet far away from here and from the steaming sheet alike for another edition of the Friday Night Greenlight. Then we go from green to apparently a white Christmas according to Carl and the Maestro for a very special snowfall tactical battling edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories. And according to what Carl and the Maestro just said, you pulled it off almost to perfection. And he's right, with a couple of hitches along the way too, but we'll let you know when we get there. Then we find out what you independent artists got planned for this weekend for another edition of the Indy for the weekend, which is me giving you guys local concert information from local artists performing in a local area live near you. Then finally, last but not least, and hopefully before the evening traffic gets any worse, we wrap up the show yet another edition of the Up to Speed News, which is me giving you guys news stories from this week from, you guessed it, all around the world. I guess with that said, I might as well tell Carl and the Maestro to kick up the beats, crank out the tunes, and most importantly, don't throw out that counter yet. It's still got one great day left on it for us to pull some magic for it. Because it's time for us to bring some fun and delight on your Friday afternoon/night. Only here, right here on Music Village. So let's get this show started, folks. Right, ladies and gentlemen, and I guess a couple of you wrestling fans who are making their way through traffic, welcome back to Music Village. I was about to say Under the Radar, and Carl and the Maestro said no, that wrong show. And you're right. Well, it's been a pretty off week, and before we go any further into how off this week's been, just as a heads up for you YouTube fans out there, we will be uploading all of the shows we've missed over the past 2 weeks over the next couple of days. I think over the weekend is what we're going to most likely try to, deliver all those episodes for you fans at home. And with that timely update out of the way, folks, I think it's time for us to find out what we think is going to happen during this year's Elimination Chamber pay-per-view from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, from the Rogers Center. And yeah, apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro saying, as a little factoid, if you want to add this in, oh yeah, I already know this. This is the same place where WrestleMania 18 took place. So yeah, this place has a lot of meaning when it comes to the road to WrestleMania. So yeah, a lot on the line. And the matches will be as follows. And the match that I think that will kick off the said Elimination Chamber pay-per-view will be none other than the Women's Elimination Chamber match to determine who will be fighting Rhea Ripley or Io Sky at WrestleMania 41. And the competitors are as follows: Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Naomi, and the prodigy herself, Roxanne Perez. Now, the only reason this match is happening, folks, is because after the Royal Rumble winner, Charlotte Flair, would announce Tiffany Stratton as her opponent for WrestleMania, they would have to find out who in the world is going to fight against the champion of the women's world variety at WrestleMania. And the only way to do it is through a match that is brutal. For a girl who might be holding the championship who represents brutality. Yeah, I think that's the best lead-in we could get for that. And with that being said, folks, who do I think is going to win this match? Now, I should rephrase that to say, who do I think is going to cancel each other out to prevent themselves from winning this match? And right off the bat, I would like to say that, yeah, Liv Morgan being in 5 and not winning a single one of them, and currently being tag team champion, she's out. She's going to get eliminated, chances are, by either Bianca or Naomi, who's going to probably try to fight against each other to find out who's going to take her out. Then you got Little Miss Bliss. I don't know what her situation is, but the fact that Miss Bliss won the chamber before, just like Bianca, raises her odds. But Roxanne Perez, chances are, is going to get eliminated by Bayley or vice versa, leaving Naomi, Bianca, and Alexa still in the match. Now, I think some form of funny business is going to happen between Bianca and Naomi, canceling each other out, leaving Little Miss Bliss as the winner of the said Elimination Chamber match. And I got a feeling some form of spooky voodoo or witchcraft is going to be involved for her to win this contest. And if you don't believe me, remember a couple of years back when she was knocking down light fixtures fighting against Randy Orton? That was the thing. That was the thing. And the next match to take place on this said card would be a tag team match, which would see none other than Tiffany Stratton going up against Canada's own Trish Stratus, or teaming with her, to go up against Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. Now, the only reason this match is taking place is because after Nia Jax would try to beat the Daylight's flag tag out of Tiffany Stratton, Trish Stratus would come out to try to help out Tiffany Stratton. I don't get it, but at the same time, hey, a friend in need is a friend indeed. And with that being said, who do I think is going to win this match? Well, seeing the fact that Tiffany Stratton's got to look forward to fighting Charlotte, the real final boss of the women's division when it comes to WrestleMania, I got a feeling to build some momentum on her side, I think she might win it. Now, how? I got a feeling chances are Nia Jax is going to get hit with a chick kick, and then Candice LeRae getting hit with a Stratisfaction, and then Tiffany Stratton pulling off the best moonsault ever. Or the prettiest moonsault ever. I'm getting her confused with a certain fallen angel, which, you know, congratulations on your retirement, and you're one of the best, next to a phenomenal one that I know of. And the next match, or a match that according to Carl and the Maestro and they're right, is unsanctioned on the card, would see none other than Sami Zayn going one-on-one against the Frankenstein monster, Kevin Owens, in an unsanctioned match. And with this match being unsanctioned and the fact that Sami Zayn just watched onward as his best friend got Alabama slammed through a ladder and still managed to help out Roman Reigns in the Royal Rumble, and to quote Killer Cross, let somebody else live his dreams, Kevin Owens would show up the next night on Monday Night Raw and exact his revenge by hitting him with a package pile driver, sending their friendship into pieces once again for the umpteenth time in a row. Now, with that being said, and with, you know, Sami Zayn not going into this match at 100%, Who do I think is going to win this match? I got a feeling Kevin Owens is going to win. Now, granted, Kevin Owens might win the battle, but I got a feeling he's going to have to deal with a whole new war once he wins that match. Because I got a feeling he's going to try to do something to end Sami Zayn's career, and from out of nowhere, an RKO might hit him, leading to a KO Mania match for the ages. Exactly what I think is going to happen. Randy might come back at the Elimination Chamber and take out Kevin Owens, and really put a KO in RKO. And the next match to take place on this card, and possibly one of the biggest Elimination Chamber matches to date, would be the main event of the evening, which would see none other than John Cena, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, Damian Priest, and Seth Rollins all duking it out to find out who's going to be fighting Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 41 for the undisputed WWE Championship. And yeah, the only reason this match is going down is because main event Jey Uso decided to choose Gunther to fight at WrestleMania for this year after getting assaulted by Gunther. So, with the general manager making this match, and the only way to get that ticket to go to the dance of WrestleMania in the main event, which I would like to say on a side note, shouldn't be the main event because the Royal Rumble winner should be in the main event, but what do I know about how things are said and worded when it comes to the Royal Rumble match? Who do I think is going to win this match? Out of all the years I've done this, folks, this might be one of the hardest decisions I've had to make to date, but I will tell you this, who will get eliminated and canceled out? Seth Rollins, right off the top of my head, I got a feeling he might get eliminated by Roman Reigns if he makes a reappearance that night. Damian Priest? Chances are Drew McIntyre and him is gonna duke it out, and CM Punk, who made an enemy out of just about everybody in this cage, might be the #1 target to get rid of out of this match, seeing the fact that he was one of the few people in this match outside of Drew McIntyre and John Cena to hold on to a championship and leave with it out of an Elimination Chamber match. And with that information alone, that makes them dangerous. But who do I think is going to win? Even though I really think that it's going to happen, but I don't want it to, John Cena. I really think John Cena is going to win, and that's from a thinking with my head basis. Now, if I was thinking with my heart, I got a feeling Punk might pull it off. That or Drew McIntyre. But either way you look at it, folks, if Punk doesn't win, remember, he still has a favor he can cash in on at any time thanks to the wise man, Paul Heyman. So he might have another ace up his sleeve if this Night of Pain doesn't work out for him. And with that being said, and seeing the fact that anything can truly happen in the WWE, especially during that main event, we say as what we say all the time around here when it comes to these pay-per-view matches and all the wrestlers that participate. Good luck, don't get hurt, and put on one hell of a show that none of us will ever, and I do mean ever, forget. But seriously, don't get hurt. We're way too close to the big dance of WrestleMania in Vegas for somebody to afford an injury for doing something crazy inside of that milk carton of a cage. And with that being said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back into that music once again, and when we return, we'll be back with more afternoon or evening delight as Music Village rolls on right after this. So don't go anywhere just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Music Village. And calling the maestro reminding me how busy next week's gonna be by letting me know that we still have to hand out those supplementary awards. You're right, we do. But before we hand out those awards, folks, I think it's time for us to reach for some cool games from a planet far away from here and from the Steam machine alike for another edition of the Friday Night Greenlight. And the first game that we have up comes from the itch.io page of, and according to Call of the Maestro, from the itch.io page of Soda Raptor. Nice name, by the way, with their said game of The Moth Inside Me. And this game automatically reminds me of Silent Hill, bar none. Definitely reminds me of Silent Hill. And here's hoping in the near future for this said game that if you do end up turning into one of those giant oversized killer moths, it doesn't have the same ending as the original Fly. And if those who've never seen it before, let's just say it involves a spider and leave it at that. Because I hate spiders. I really do. And I don't want to think about it because it gives me the creeps every single time I do. Ugh. But besides bringing up a classic game and a classic movie, according to Call of the Maestro, because I'm a little bit fluttered thinking of that dang spider again, we now head into the next game, which comes from the developers Digital Media, or Digital Melody and Games Incubator, with their said game of Car Mechanic Shop Simulator. And this game automatically reminds me of that show that used to be on, I think it was the Gear Channel or the Speed Channel. It was one where they used to go into car shops and show you building automotive cars. I think it was Top Gear based, but either way you look at it, folks, definitely reminds me of that. And here's hoping in the near future for this set game that not only you get a chance to test out the vehicles that you put on display, but maybe, just maybe, hire a cool looking salesman that is able to sell them and even get a chance to put them on a Lazy Susan too. And according to Call of the Maestro, you can, but not too entirely sure about the Lazy Susan or the salesman. Well, if you're looking to sell the car off the lot, you're going to need a good salesman, so here's hoping you can find one. And the next game that we have up, besides trying to find a good salesman with a good sales pitch to help you sell cars, comes from the developers Glide Games with their said game of Gas Station Manager. Wow, a lot of simulators this week, yeah. And this game automatically reminds me of the gas station anywhere in town that I would go to, with the exception of the one next to the freeway. Because I don't think many people go there because the gas prices are almost, $4.30? And Call of the Maestro said we've been looking at the diesel prices again, haven't we? No, those were the actual prices. But besides getting over a price for gas debate with Call of the Maestro, this game, here's hoping in the near future, not only you get a chance to work with other players to help you run this gas station, and according to Call of the Maestro, why yes you can, but also just in case things get a little chaotic, you have a shut-off switch for this at gas station, because I know there's a couple of people out there who might try to overfill the tank, so a chance for you to hit that shut-off switch before you watch your gas station go up in smoke would be a good idea. And the next game that we have up, besides, according to Call of the Maestro, My Folly at the Pump, hey, I never made a mistake at the gas pump before. You pin that on somebody else. But the next game we have up comes from the developers King Na Game with their set game of Redemption of the Yin. And this game automatically reminds me of Neo. Yep, definitely reminds me of Neo with a little hint of Onimusha in there as well too. And here's hoping in the near future for this set game that, Call of the Maestro purposely showing a picture of you fighting a spider out in the dang woods See, here's hoping in the near future you get plenty of bombs to destroy that thing. That or one of those, I don't even know what ninja device, that giant shuriken that you would see in Naruto, a chance to use that to cleave that thing in half. Because I told you before, and I'll say it again, I don't like spiders, man. I don't like spiders. And here's hoping you get a friend or two to help you try to kill those things, because I don't think I'm going to be able to fight them alone. And Carl and the Maestro said, guess what? You have to fight them alone. Of course I do. Of course I do. And the next game that we have up, besides me getting a can of Raid after the show, comes from the developers Garage Monkeys with their said game of Car Dealer Simulator. Once again, a lot of simulators this week. And this game automatically reminds me of, I guess that car lot that's down the street from us. At least 4 blocks out. But either way you look at it, folks, here's hoping in the near future for this set game that not only you get a chance to bring these cars back to life, but also a chance for you to test them out before you put them back up on the lot. And Carl and the Maestro said, I don't think that's a wise idea, especially with that car that looks like a Pinto. Oh, we put that one in a special box before we test it. We'll have a robot test that one. And Carl and the Maestro asked me, why a robot? Would you get in that? And they immediately said no before I could finish the sentence. But besides testing out cars that were highly volatile back in the days for those who never owned one, the next game that we have up comes from the developers Games Incubator and Hypnotic Ants. Nice developer name, by the way, with their said game of Deconstruction Simulator. And this game automatically reminds me of the show of House Flippers. And here's hoping in the near future for this said game, and Carl and the Maestro answered my question by showing me a picture of a giant crane, that yes, you can use giant machinery to take the house or whatever object you have to take down to reconstruct. And, outside of that, can we use dynamite? And they said no dynamite. You sure? I got a feeling that would be a great way to take it apart, but at the same time, now that I see that the neighbor's dog walked into the house, I don't think that would be a great idea, now wouldn't it? And Carl and the Maestro said no. But could you have friends help you try to take out that 2-story house? Apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, no. No, you can't. All right, well, it's going to be a long Saturday afternoon for that one, ain't it? And the last but not least game that we have up for this week and for this month of greatness comes from the developers TBJBU2 with their set game of StarCrafter. And this game automatically reminds me of No Man's Sky. And for some strange reason, with the look of the planets, reminds me of Star Trek Voyager. Now, here's hoping in the near future that this game has a soundtrack that's just as cool and mesmerizing as they would for Star Trek Voyager. Because I really feel like that would set the mood for your next planetary adventure if you have that oboe playing in the background. Yeah. And Carl and Maestro clapping their hands in front of my face to snap me out of that dream I'm in while looking at these cool screenshots. And before I forget, here's hoping in the near future you get a chance to upgrade the ship you're riding in too, because I got a feeling you're gonna need to, especially with you traveling and careening so close to the sun. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out any other cool games that comes from a planet far away from here, yet close enough to be beamed into your homes in less than 24 hours, then you can go ahead and head on over to the Free Game Planet page of one man only known as freegameplanet.com to check out a whole bunch of cool, weird, strange, frightening, and scary games that are just out of this world. If you also want to go ahead and check out any other cool games that comes from the Steam Machine via the cargo ship, cargo plane, or even subterranean train that is currently rumbling underneath your toes, then you can go ahead and head on over to the store.steampower page, only known as store.steampower.com, and check out a whole bunch of cool games by hitting that Indy button along with that upcoming button. That is so great that we had to mention it over the past 28 days with no pause in between. And if you're wondering, we had to mention a couple of them on Twitter and on Facebook to let people know how cool the games are. All month long. That's how great they are. And I'm doing a thumbs up that nobody can see. So I guess with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back to that music once again. And when we return, we'll be back with yet another new DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories right after this. So don't wear your horns out in open traffic just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Right, all you video gamers, welcome to yet another ice-cold, tactical, snow-wind victory edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories. And with a title like that, we decided to go with the game none other than Valkyria Chronicles 4. And if my memory serves me correct, I do believe now that's 4 video game stories from 4 separate games. Nice! But besides that track record, folks, I think it's time for us to mount up and pick a tactical point for victory unassured as we get ready to paint the picture. Alright, this video game story began approximately 3 weeks ago when I finally decided to pick back up this game after beating one of the levels that finally told me that the soldiers on the enemy front now had snipers that can hit you for every turn you decide to make. Now, the reason why I stopped playing at that initial point, folks, is because for those who don't know, you get a chance to move your character on the board, pick a spot to fire at the enemy, and take your shot. Now, with snipers being able to move on the field, that really does interrupt half of the moves that I try to make and requires me to be a little bit smarter on my feet than I already was. And after I was able to beat the first mission that they would introduce these deadly soldiers in, we would then find ourselves in this icy cold battle where the mission was where we had to get the tank from one side of the field to the other. Seems simple, right? And it would be. Hadn't it been for one, they strike that 2 of the conditions required for this map. Because after you complete your first turn and you're not able to get to that certain point to get the tank out of there, the whole entire field will be covered in a snowy wonderland and you will be snowblind on the field, making the accuracy of your soldiers on the said field very bad. And after learning these things, the people I would decide to bring with me on this battle, besides the mandatory Claude who had to be there to operate the tank, would be not only Riley, Miller, Raz, Kai, as well as none other than, and according to Carl and the Maestro, even none other than the characters from Squad 7. Of Largo, and even seeing Minerva make her way into the battle for this battle as well too. And everything was going smoothly. I had the mortar firer shooting mortars off to the soldiers on the upper left-hand side of the map to try to take the post that was right behind us so we didn't get attacked from behind. And with Raz on the front lines with us, it made for easy cleanup work. But another person we decided to bring with us to make sure that the cleanup work would be very well to help us out would be another machine gunner to go along with them and would be able to use team fire to take out those said machine gunners that was at the base behind us, as well as the sneaky sniper that was hiding in the box that was taken out by Kai, and even one soldier over off in the far left hiding in the bushes just in case the turn left. And would be one of the reasons why I would always make sure I keep at least 3 soldiers right next to the main base, just in case you get one of those soldiers that sneaks out of the grass with a special ability of a scout that's able to run all the way toward our base, take it over, and lead to a game over. And none of those were problems, folks, because the main problem that we would have to run into would have to be once we got further into the battlefield and try to get the tank out of there. Because once we tried to get the tank out of there, and once we got past that first turn in record fashion, I may add, we would run into 2 little girls that would be on the battlefield carrying crossbows. Not only a girl that would go by the name of Chiara Rodio, but also Nicola Graf. 2 little girls that was on the battlefield that I obviously didn't take lightly, because I would even say this to King. Yeah, of course they would send kids on the battlefield, and if you get them confused with being sweet little adorable little girls, that's when you get killed. Because sure enough, just like my theory proved, they would be the 2 strongest people on the entire field. Because with 1 crossbow shot, and it was to a tank, it took off well over 250 points from those 2 shots with those arrows that they would shoot at the tank. But that wouldn't be the thing that would cause the first game over that we would have, folks. It wasn't the said arrow shooting. It was the mortar shot that we forgot to take care of, and the tank that was in the far distance that came out of the snow and took out the tank, caused me to fail the mission instantly. So when I did the mission again, I made sure that I had a contingency plan to handle that tank. Not only Largo would be on the front field alongside with the tank, as well as the 2 machine gunners in the back handling the backfields, but you would also have another bonus mortar shooter that would try to take out the person coming out of the grass, as well as another character on the side that would handle those little girls with ease. And the person I would use to do that would be Raz. And why? Because Raz is insane in this game. Not only because of the fact that he has a special ability that if he takes a certain amount of health, his evasion goes up, but his shot accuracy goes up too, and not to mention he's crazy. And that's either a good or bad thing to take care of or to have on the battlefield. But the one time it did prove beneficial was after I was able to get the tank just a little bit toward the finish line and was able to have Raz sneak up on one of the girls, since apparently they can see a sniper bullet from several yards out, sneak up behind the girl, hit her with a couple of machine gun fire bullets for her to switch over and change right to Raz, for Raz to take damage from the said crossbows, and for the girl up in the sniper booth of Kai to take out the one girl, and for me, because I said I don't trust the other one, to use the mortar shot from the cannon from the tank to take the other one out at the cost of Largo. For Largo to get picked up off the field, and for me to zip that tank right off the said field, for me to say, oh man, I lost 2 soldiers in this battle. I got a feeling I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna really fail this mission. But despite me losing those 2 soldiers, and one of them because of the crossbow that would hit, another one in the far off fields that I thought was still alive but was, taken out during the battle, I would end up getting an A+ on this battle. Not only that, but would unlock a character called Asuna that I would call Asuka and would immediately dance in celebration of the fact that I would say, I unlocked the Empress of Tomorrow to help me out in battle. Nice! And despite a couple of hitches, the fact that I would get a perfect score on this battle proves that sometimes, getting rid of the big bad bosses on the field and immediately zipping on out of there and cleaning the field out makes up for the losses. And I would even get a medal for it too, proving that, yep, knowledge is power. That and, knowledge or knowing is half the battle, or whatever G.I. Joe would usually say according to Carl and the Maestro. You're right. And you're right. And I think I got another plan just in case I fight those little girls again. And according to Carl and the Maestro, I might, and I'll be ready. And with that said, folks, wraps it up for a very special ice-cold tactical winter victory edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories. And with that, we'll be back with more right after this. So stay tuned. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Music Village. And yeah, 3 things about that video game story. First off, it's the first time I ever had to use a diorama to properly explain how I was able to get victory in that map. Secondly, the name of the mission was the Crystal Sea Part 2 for Chapter 8. And 3, and something Carl and the Maestro told me, those 2 little girls that I was fighting against, they can work with you if you have the DLC after completing the mission, the 2 Valkyrie. Yeah, so really, I never knew that. And also, Carl and the Maestro, to try to spoil the game for me, said that, we're just about well over 8 chapters away from beating the game. You mean 9? I already looked it up. But besides trying to spoil a game for us, and with that being said, folks, I think it's time for us to go into one of my favorite parts of the show. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, none other than the Indy for the weekend, which is me giving you guys local concert information from local artists performing your local area live near you. And we kick things off with Friday, February 28th. And the first band we have up is Vic Delapello, who's going to be performing at the Squire at Branches in Long Branch, New Jersey at 5:30 p.m. And apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, it's West Long Branch. Well, it's still in Long Branch. I didn't know there was different parts of Long Branch. And to prove my point, folks, next band we have up is Stu Hooten, who is going to be performing at the Simply Greek Restaurant and Bar in Long Branch, Jersey at 6 p.m. Russell Norkovic is going to be performing at the Lambert House in Lambertville, New Jersey at 6 p.m. The Gumbo Goombas is going to be performing at the American Hotel in Freehold, New Jersey at 6:30 p.m. Doug Gatta is going to be performing at the Asbury Hotel in Asbury Park, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Keller Williams is going to be performing at the Asbury Lanes in Asbury Park, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Gerald Esposito is going to be performing at the Villa Vittoria Ristorante in Brick, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Mike Hertz is going to be performing alongside with Joe Palomino and Flounders Brewing Company in Hillsborough, New Jersey at 8 p.m. Dave Fields is going to be performing at Mr. P's in Highland Park, New Jersey at 9 p.m. And to finally wrap things up for Friday night, you can see Jeff Gunther with the Coots, who's both going to be performing at the Shortways Barn in Hawthorne, New Jersey at 9 p.m. And on Sunday, March 1st, the first day of the month of madness, you can see these following bands performing in a local area near you live. The Gumbo Goombas is going to be performing at the Sunken Silo Brews Works in Lebanon, New Jersey at 2 p.m. Peter Mayer with Brendan Mayer is both going to be performing at the Pine Lake Park Clubhouse in Toms River, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Ellie is going to be performing at the Kelsey's in Atlantic City, New Jersey at 7:30 p.m. Stu Hooten is going to be performing at the Portside Bar in Middleton, New Jersey at 8 p.m. Sister Blue is going to be performing at the Union House in Burlington, New Jersey at 8 p.m. Carl Deitel with We May Be Right Billy Joel Tribute Band, who's all going to be performing at the Levoy Theater in Millville, New Jersey at 8 p.m. Jeff Gunther with the Coots is both going to be performing at the Mertz Tavern in Totowa, New Jersey at 8 p.m. Zaire is going to be performing at the Brass Rail in Phillipsburg, New Jersey at 8 p.m. And to finally wrap things up for Saturday night, you can see Mike Granger with Sharp Edge, who's both going to be performing at the Chatham River Grill in Chatham Township, New Jersey at 9 p.m. And on Sunday, March 2nd, you can see these following bands performing in a local area near you live. Lisa Ann with Panzio Denunzio and Laurel Ann Castanogi is all going to be performing at the God is the Answer Ministries in Vineland, New Jersey at 11 a.m. Stu Hooten is going to be performing at the Burloo's Seafood and Steak Joint in Keyport, New Jersey at 4 p.m. You can also see John DeRosa, who's going to be performing at the Pizza Village Cafe 4 in Phillipsburg, New Jersey at 5 p.m. Beatty Lenz is going to be performing at the Proving Ground Waterfront Dining in Highlands, New Jersey at 5 p.m. And apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, yes, that railroad sign he's standing next to is real. I was going to ask that later, but all right, fine. Anyway, next band we have up, or bands, is the Dirty Nil with Grumster and Bugbath. Nice band names. It's all going to be performing at the Brick by Brick in San Diego, California at 6 p.m. Todd Allen Hendreen is going to be performing at the Todd Hendreen Theater in Panama City Beach, Florida at 6 p.m. Peter Mayer with Brendan Mayer is both going to be performing at the Tin Pan in Richmond, Virginia at 6 p.m. The C4 Band is going to be performing at the Commodore Grill in Nashville, Tennessee at 6:30 p.m. Signal Scope with Sonic Fuzz and Jupiter's Flytrap. Nice band names. Is all going to be performing at the Rev Room in Little Rock, Arkansas at 6:30 p.m. And to finally wrap things up for Sunday night, you can see Kevin James, who's going to be performing at the Paramount in Huntington, New York at 7:30 p.m. And on Monday, March 3rd, you can see these following bands performing in a local area live near you. Chicken on the Bone is going to be performing at the Funky 544 in New Orleans, Louisiana at 2 p.m. Winnie Brave is going to be performing at the Laguna Bob in South Padre Island, Texas at 3 p.m. Circus Mutt is going to be performing at the Boondocks Grill and Draft House in Summerland Key, Florida. At 6 p.m., never heard of that place, but apparently according to Colin the Maestro, it exists. All right, we'll take your word for it. Anyway, next band we have up is none other than the Do-Over, who's going to be performing at the Laguna Bob in South Padre Island, Texas. At 6 p.m., Sky Covington Live is going to be performing at the Aretha's Jazz Cafe in Detroit, Michigan. At 6 p.m., Zach Johnson is going to be performing at the Red Brick Tavern in Conroe, Texas. At 7 p.m., you can also see none other than Monday Open Mic Night, who's going to be performing at the Mr. Peabody's in Encinitas, California. At 8 p.m., Toast is going to be performing at the Hank's Honky Tonks in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. At 8 p.m., and completely out of order, according to Colin the Maestro, you can also see Eddie Pickett, who's going to be performing at the Wee Pub Beach in Jekyll Island, Georgia. At 7 p.m., Sam Domicilio is going to be performing at the Paradise Grill in Nokomis, Florida. At 6 p.m., Sonny Mormon is going to be performing at the Shady O'Grady's in Loveland, Ohio. At 6 p.m., Greg Irwin is going to be performing at the Cowboys and Angels in Helen, Georgia. At 5 p.m., but to finally wrap things up and right on time, according to Colin the Maestro, you can see the Garage Boys, who's going to be performing at the Fremont Street Experience in Las Vegas, Nevada at 10 p.m. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out the complete list of bands that we couldn't list during this very broadcast, and trust me, folks, there were a lot of them, you can head on over to ReverbNation.com to check out the complete list of bands that we couldn't list during this very broadcast. And while you're over there, check out a couple of their cool tunes. Trust me, worth the listen. And like we say at the end of all of these skits, go out there, support your local artists, and see these guys perform live. And trust me, they'll love you for it. And I guess with that said, I think it's time for us to head back to that music and continue to listen into these Diamonds in the Rough, only here, right here, on Music Village. So don't get lost in that afternoon or evening traffic just yet, folks, and stay tuned. And we're back with the show that's been given an extra week before the big time warp next week, only known as Music Village. And apparently, according to Colin the Maestro, we were wrong this past week about the upcoming daylight savings time because it's next weekend. Not this weekend, but the next following weekend, we lose an hour of sleep. Which is good for me because, we can be able to still bring some madness to the first week of your month before a time warp hits the second one. Which, in retrospect, I wish it was the first week. Yeah, kick off the month of madness with a time warp, that would have been a lot better. Get it out of the way so we could just immediately go back to 1 hour behind schedule once things go back to normal in October. I hope. But besides an eventual time warp we're going to have to do with the Rocky Horror Picture Show, I'm looking at my watch right now. Oh, it's just about that time. It's the witching hour, which means it's time for us to be brought up to speed with news stories from this week from, you guessed it, all around the world. And in our first news story, and in sad news from the world of movies and television, Michelle Trachtenberg, better known as Harriet the Spy, as well as playing one of the characters a part of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, unfortunately passed away this past week at the age of 39 years old. My goodness. And this girl was a part of a major part of my childhood with Harriet the Spy. But something that I didn't know she was a part of as well, not only being a part of a Whisk commercial when she was 3 years old, but also being a part of the adventures of Pete and Pete as Nona F. Mickelberg, Pete's best friend, younger sister that was featured during this said show, but would also play Lily Montgomery in All My Children, as well as going on to be a part of, and get this folks, the CBS sitcom Amigo, and even a part of the panelist show of Figure It Out, that also featured another character from Pete and Pete featured in that as well, and also would be featured as the niece of Inspector Gadget during that said film of Inspector Gadget, even would play Dawn Summers in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and of course would also be a part of, and get this, the Discovery series show of Truth or Scare, as well as playing Celeste in 6 Feet Under, and would even go on to be a part of a very fun film of Euro Trip, Ice Princess, and even Beautiful Ohio and Mysterious Skin, and revising her role of Harriet the Spy in Robot Chicken, even being a part of Sleepy Hollow, Mercy, and a part of Gossip Girl and Weeds. So yeah, a lot of things she was able to do in such a short time in her life, and definitely brought a smile to our face, especially in the world of Pete and Pete and in Euro Trip when I found out that was Harriet the Spy in that film. And as a little bit of a heads up, we will this weekend feature the movie Harriet the Spy, a part of the Indy Radio Arcade, as a special Nickelodeon tribute we were going to have for this month of madness. That was going to be one of the Nickelodeon films. But outside of that tribute that we decided to spill the beans for a little bit ahead of time than our original October date, we here at Music Village would like to say on behalf of Michelle Trachtenberg, may your work live on forever, and may you forever rest in peace. And in other news, and more or less music news, for you fans out there who always wanted to hear the live concert of Cypress Hill with the London Symphony Orchestra, well, I have some good news for you. Because it's been announced as of this week that the said film will be available as of this upcoming month of madness, followed by the album during the summer. And I, for one, who never truly saw the joke on The Simpsons with the London Philharmonic, or the London Symphony Orchestra playing with Cypress Hill, but the fact that they finally made it happen and proving that The Simpsons got some form of crystal ball in their studio to predict the future, yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'm definitely gonna get that album because it does feature How Could I Just Kill a Man with a band performing behind him, or should I say an orchestra performing the song behind him, which was awesome. And if you guys and gals out there want to go ahead and check out the big screening for this big giant concert, then you can go ahead and get tickets on the website only known as consequence.net to check it out over there for yourselves. But as a heads up, this said film will be making its way to theaters as of March 30th and 31st in US and Canada. And of course, for those out there for the US, as of April 2nd. But as of the album, that will be available as of June 6th of 2025. And I cannot wait to get my hands on it. I seriously can't. And in other news and more or less musical metal cover news, for you fans out there who always wanted to hear a metal version of Toxic, well, the Metal Mohawk Man himself would be able to deliver. because one of the nominees for the Indy Cover Song of the Year would be able to team up with none other than Lila Adams to pull off a metal cover of the Britney Spears song of Toxic. And I was about to say cover song, but you know, hey, ballpark error had by most. But either way you look at it, folks, awesome metal cover, and here's hoping in the near future we see these two back together again, performing a metal cover of the song Circus, because I got a feeling they could probably pull it off. And the music video for this was absolutely awesome to see as well, too. So keep up the great work as always, you man with the metal mohawk. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out this metal collab between the two for a classic Britney Spears song, then you can go ahead and head on over to the Metal Mohawk page of one man only known as OHP to check it out for yourselves. And with that last regular news story out of the way, folks, you know what time it is. No caller to my show. It's not time for us to flip the calendar over. We still got some business left to handle. Because it's time for us to go into a very special month-ending 28th Day of Greatness edition of... And step back for this one, folks, because I got a feeling March is going to hear this one. Video game news. Hey, I warned you. And the fact that I was able to pull that off proves my voice is back to normal. Nice. But in our first video game news story, and an exciting news for you PS Plus fans out there wondering what the games for the month of madness is gonna be. Because it would be the following games. Not only Dragon Age the Veilguard, Sonic Colors Ultimate, and I do believe the entire collection of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 8-bit form, which is a lot of them, including one of them being the one that Seth Rollins would play on an episode of Up, Up, Down, Down of, I do believe, Turtles in Time. And Carl and my show overly excited about that one because that was one of their favorites. Nice. And I, for one, am absolutely shocked about the first one that we mentioned because Dragon Age the Veilguard just came out in October. We were planning on buying the game, but after whatever in the world happened, they released it for free after 4 months? Are you kidding me? Are you serious? That's incredible. And not to mention a chance for me to play another RPG game, most likely by August, for the summer of RPG. Is pretty cool. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out the full list of the games that will be featured for this month of madness, then you can go ahead and head on over to the YouTube page of one man only known as PlayStation Grenade to check it out for yourself. And as a little bit of a heads up, these games will be available as of March 4th of 2025 and will remain as such until March 31st of 2025. And for those who didn't get a chance to get Payday or any of the other games from the month of greatness, don't burn daylight, folks. Those will go away as of March 3rd. So go grab them while you can. And in other video game news, and yes, calling to my show, I know it's not yesterday's news. Yes, in video game news and more or less Grand Theft Auto Online news. And calling to my show immediately cut me off and say, why haven't you mentioned the whole thing for AEW yet? Oh yeah, I almost forgot, because the Bonami Code would be back and we would be playing a game alongside with the human superhero himself and a man who's good with a pair of scissors, none other than Ricochet. playing one of the classic Batman games of Batman Arkham Asylum. Nice! And the fact that we would see Batman pulling off a couple of very hard-hitting hits that made several people during that clip laugh makes me wonder, what would it be like if we have ever saw Ricochet actually dressed up as Batman? Because for those who don't know, I do believe during one of the said Saudi Arabian pay-per-views, we did see him dress up as Nightwing and, according to In the Clutch Entertainment, Captain North America. I don't know why, but that makes me laugh every single time I mention it, but still, I would love to see him pull off a Batman suit in the near future. Hopefully we get a chance to see it. But if you guys want to go ahead and check out how in the world Ricochet would fare in Arkham Asylum, then you can go ahead and head on over to the YouTube page of one man only known as AEW Games to check it out for yourselves. Now, in other news and more or less Grand Theft Auto Online news. And news for you Learn to Fly fans out there who's getting ready to fly for next month, because it's been announced that there will be another big thing added to Grand Theft Auto Online in the form of GTA Online Oscar Guzman Flies Again, which will not only see you purchasing the famous or infamous Trevor Airfield, but most likely joining the gun running business with that said airfield. And I've got some major plans for that in the future, which means that I got a feeling the next update that we do, or the next review that we're gonna do, might involve the previous update that they just added. How time flies. But outside of that, folks, what do you get with this brand new update? Not only the Western Duster 300H plane, but also the Buckingham DH-7 Iron Mule helicopter, along with none other than the Eberhard Titan 250D, which comes with gunships under the nose and several different forms of heavy firepower to go along with it. And I'm pretty sure also, according to Carl and the Maestro, to go with the Con Air theme, it comes also with the Inverto Croquette D5 sports car that will go along with it as well, too. Nice. And I got a feeling this is all going to cost us a grand total of well over $12 million. Mark my words, folks. Mark my words. And in the other side of Grand Theft Auto Online, to get you prepared for that said big update, not only will you get a chance to get double the amount of money for ammunition contract missions, but also alongside with it, the Carnival outfits that will be available until March 3rd. And for those who participate in 2 stunt races this week, $100 grand, as well as a Bigness Carnival bucket hat to go along with it. Oh, and before I forget, double the amount of money on special vehicle races as well for this week. You know, I thought I had more double the amount of money and excitement, but apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, that's it. And alongside with that, on the lucky wheel for this week, a chance for you to go home with the all-terrain Karen Evron. And for those out there a part of the said LS Car Meet series, you can go home with a Vapid Retoon Mark II if you're able to place top 3 in the LS Car Meet series for 4 consecutive days. And the discounts are as follows. And Carl and the Maestro, hand me the sheet. And the sheet for the upgrades are as follows, folks, because for those out there looking for hangar properties and modifications, it is now 30% off. The Western Company Cuban 800 plane, 30% off. The Buckingham Vestra, the DF Dune Buggy, the Vapid Festival bus that can't fit underneath the bridge, the Karen Sultan Classic, the Western Reaver, even the Buckingham Shulkin, all 30% off, along with the Zinconium Journey 2 van, 30% off. Even the Turreted Limo, 30% off. The Onslaught Jugular. I thought it was Jaguar, but it really is Jugular. 30% off. The Vapid GB200, 30% off. The Obey Wagon SUV, 30% off. The Fixer Astron, 30% off. And to truly celebrate Carnival, 50% off on all animal masks for this week. And 30% off on all the things we listed prior. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out the complete list of deals and DLCs that will be coming soon to a Rockstar universe near you, then you can go ahead and head on over to the socialclub.rockstargames page, only known as socialclub.rockstargames.com, under the Newswire section to check it out for yourselves. And I guess with that said, for this week and to wrap up these 28 days of greatness, you have all officially been brought up. Hold on one sec. We need to figure out if we can still get down with the rhythm on the 28th day of greatness. One sec. Yeah, we still got the moves. All right, that's enough of that because you've been brought up to speed. I guess with that said, I think it's time for us to head back to that music one more time. And when we return, we'll be back with the final segment for Music Village for this week and for this month of greatness right after this. So don't get lost in afternoon or evening traffic just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Well, ladies and gentlemen, seeing the fact that the even flow of traffic is really starting to get restless and it's time for us to follow the even flow of it all before it gets any worse, we might as well bring Music Village for this week and for this month of greatness to an emphatic close. But don't worry, if you miss anything that we were able to give you for this end of your month of greatness, we got you covered, because you can catch this show again one more time, all the time, on our SoundCloud, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr pages still all named the same, only known as Music Village Radio under the hashtag MusicVillage556. And according to Carl and the Maestro, we're going to be in some serious trouble in another 110 episodes with this show with those triple numbers. Oh yeah, you're right. And if you guys want to figure out what the crazy and zany things we still got prepared for next month of madness, like a show that is going to have the number of the beast on its back once we get another 110 episodes on our back, then you can go ahead and check it out on our YouTube, Discord, and Twitter pages that are still all named the same, only known as ZOO Agent 0012. Before we head out for the night, we would like to thank, as always, you the fans out there for listening in to a very special month-ending 28th Day of Greatness edition of Music Village. And if you guys and gals out there like what you heard, go out there and spread the word. You know what? Like Chaucer at the first victory of Ulrich von Liechtenstein in the movie A Knight's Tale. Yeah, you know, the PR department knows where I'm going with this one, and they already got the knight outfit on ready for me to do the thing, right? I bet you are. And we would also like to thank you, the independent artists out there, for doing that musical goodness like you always do. And keep up the great work, guys. And here's hoping your music gets a chance to be as great as this great month we're currently in. Along with a bowl of Frosted Flakes, because they'll all be great. And why? Because we believe you guys. That's why. And And speaking of people with great music that was featured during this show, we would like to thank our musical guests for this week, not only Valentin Sosinsky with their said song of the E major blues that was featured during the intro, and of course the man that you're currently listening to right now in the background of none other than Carl and the Maestro with their said song of the Blue Collar Jam session that's being featured during the outro. But most importantly, Tekno AXE with his said song of Frostbitten Sunrise that was featured during a very special ice-cold tactical sweep of winter victory edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories. And we probably should have let with that and the PR departments give me the thumbs up, but hey, there's always next time. And yeah, to all of you music makers out there, keep up the great work, and we can't wait to hear what you got coming down the tubes next. And finally, last but certainly not least, we would like to thank you, the independent gamers out there, for coming out with all those sweet video game hits and clips we had a chance to mention during this week's show. And like always, guys, keep them coming, because you never know what show might be coming around the corner next. Hint, 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 hint. And I guess with everybody thanked, you guys out there know we go out. I'm DJ Smokey on behalf of Carl and the Maestro, and for these 28 days of greatness that we made just a little bit better, saying, yes! Behold my Lord Ulrich, the rock, the hard place. Like a wind from Gundren, he sweeps by, far from his homeland in search of glory and honor. We walk in the garden of his turbulence. Yeah! Yeah! But most importantly, when there's smoke, there's fire. And we'll see you guys next week for a very special 4th day into Madness pre-time warping edition of Music Village. But until then, folks, good night, everybody.